My beloved child, go to your room, close the door gently, and watch this alone right now, because what you are about to hear was never meant for a crowded place. This is not an ordinary message, and the silence around you is about to become part of the revelation. Don't skip. The person connected to your heart has been carrying words they could not speak in front of anyone else. They tried to hide those words behind ordinary conversations, quiet smiles, and long pauses, but something happened recently that made hiding them almost impossible. Stay till the end, because one detail changes everything you thought you understood about their distance. There was a moment when your soulmate found themselves completely alone, holding something that reminded them of you. It may have been an old photograph, a saved message, a familiar song, or a simple object linked to a memory you both shared. Whatever it was, it opened a door inside their heart that they had kept firmly closed. Suddenly, every feeling they had buried returned at once. They remembered the way your presence made ordinary moments feel important. They remembered a conversation that ended too soon and a truth they almost confessed. Most of all, they remembered the expression on your face the last time you sensed that something was being left unsaid. You were right. Something was being hidden, but it was not the cold rejection you may have feared. It was a feeling so powerful that your soulmate did not know how to carry it without changing everything. That is why you needed to hear this alone. Some revelations cannot be understood while the world is making noise around you. Something huge is waiting for you, and it begins with a confession your soulmate has repeated privately more than once. I did not pull away because I stopped caring. I pulled away because caring became impossible to ignore. Let those words settle. Their silence was not empty. It was crowded with memories of you, questions about you, and imagined conversations in which they finally told you the truth. They wondered whether you had moved on. They wondered whether they had waited too long. They wondered whether the connection could still be repaired without reopening the pain that silence had created. Then came the shocking moment. Someone close to them mentioned your name without warning, and your soulmate's entire expression changed. They tried to act unaffected, but their eyes revealed what their voice refused to say. The person sitting beside them noticed. They asked one simple question: if this person still matters so much, why are you pretending they don't? Your soulmate had no answer. For the first time, the mask slipped. For the first time, someone else saw the truth clearly. And what happened next is the reason you must not scroll away. The room became quiet, but inside your soulmate, everything became loud. They admitted that they had compared every new connection, every new conversation, and every peaceful moment to what they once felt with you. Nothing carried the same depth. Nothing felt as familiar. Nothing reached the guarded place in their heart that opened naturally whenever you were near. Don't skip now, because this is where the story takes a turn even your soulmate did not expect. The person listening did not tell them to forget you. They did not encourage them to continue hiding. Instead, they said, you are not confused about whom you care for. You are afraid of what will happen when you finally admit it. Those words followed your soulmate home. They echoed through the evening. They remained present when every other sound disappeared. That night, your soulmate went into their room and closed the door, just as you have been asked to do now. They sat alone and opened a message they had written for you but never sent. The first sentence contained your name. The second contained an apology. The third contained a truth that nearly changed the direction of your connection forever. They wrote that losing contact with you did not bring the peace they expected. It only taught them how deeply your presence had become part of their emotional world. They wrote that certain places still remind them of you. They wrote that sometimes they reach for their phone before remembering how much time has passed. They confessed that they have imagined seeing you again, and in every version of that moment, the rehearsed words disappear because one look from you brings every real feeling back. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because the letter did not stop there. Your soulmate revealed that they recently made a private decision. They decided they could no longer allow fear, pride, or outside opinions to speak louder than their heart. They began preparing for a conversation that could change everything between you. Not a shallow conversation filled with vague promises, but an honest one about what happened, why they became distant, and what they truly want now. Yet there is one thing they still do not know, whether you would listen. That uncertainty is the reason they have hesitated. They are not afraid of speaking anymore, they are afraid that their opportunity to speak may have already passed. But something inside them keeps saying it has not. Something keeps reminding them that a bond capable of surviving silence may still have a purpose beyond it. And here is the once-in-a-lifetime revelation. Your soulmate has finally recognized that the quality they once found overwhelming in you is the very quality they now miss the most. Your honesty challenged them. Your emotional depth exposed the parts of themselves they avoided. Your presence made them feel seen, and being truly seen frightened them because it meant they could no longer hide from their own heart. They thought distance would make those feelings smaller. Instead, distance made the truth clearer. You were never too much. You were simply real enough to awaken something they were not yet prepared to face. Now remain here, because the most surprising part has not yet been revealed. Your soulmate did not only write the message, they saved it where they would see it again. That means the confession was not a passing emotion. It became a decision waiting for courage. They returned to it the next morning, changed a few words, and added one final line: "If I get one honest chance, I will not waste it. Don't skip." Those words carry more weight than they appear to carry, because this person has spent a long time avoiding final decisions. They have questioned their timing, their worthiness, and even their ability to give you the kind of connection you deserve. But now they understand that waiting endlessly is also a choice, and it is the one choice they no longer want to make. A quiet shift has taken place within them. They are no longer asking whether they feel something for you. They know they do. They are asking how to approach you without repeating the same mistakes. They want to come forward differently, more honestly, more calmly, and without hiding behind half-spoken sentences. Stay till the end, because the closing revelation is the key to this entire message. Your soulmate recently remembered a promise they made silently after one of your most meaningful conversations. You may never have heard this promise, but in their heart they said, "If life brings us back to this moment, I will tell the truth." That moment may be approaching. This does not mean you must chase, wait helplessly, or place your life on pause. Your power is not in forcing an outcome. Your power is in recognizing that their silence was never proof that you were unimportant. You left an imprint they could not erase by pretending. You awakened a tenderness they could not replace by staying busy. And now the truth they avoided has become the truth asking to be spoken. Something huge is waiting for you, not because a perfect ending has already been guaranteed, but because clarity is moving closer. The unanswered question is no longer whether you mattered. You did. The unanswered question is what your soulmate will do with that realization. Behind another closed door, somewhere beyond what you can currently see, a message with your name is still waiting. A heart that once resisted honesty is preparing to choose it. And the person you thought had forgotten is quietly rehearsing the first words they hope will reopen the door between you. But before those words can reach you, one final secret must come to light, the real reason they became distant, the influence they never told you about, and the private promise they are now ready to break in order to tell you everything. The secret behind their distance is finally beginning to surface, and it is nothing like the explanation you were left to imagine. Stay till the end, because the person who influenced your soulmate was not a stranger, it was someone whose opinion they had trusted for years. This person noticed how deeply your soulmate cared for you, but instead of helping them understand that connection, they filled their mind with doubts. They suggested that the timing was wrong, that the feelings were moving too quickly, and that opening their heart could leave them disappointed. Your soulmate listened because this voice sounded protective. They did not realize that advice shaped by another person's past could never define their future with you. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. At first, your soulmate tried to defend the connection. They spoke about your sincerity, your patience, and the unusual peace they felt around you. But each time they defended you, another doubt was placed before them. What if the bond became too serious? What if they could not give you everything you deserved? What if their emotions became impossible to control? Slowly, they began mistaking fear for wisdom. Then they made a private promise: they would step back from you until their feelings became easier to ignore. They believed a little distance would restore their sense of control. Yet every day away from you created the opposite effect. The silence did not erase you, it magnified every memory. Your soulmate began noticing your absence in places where your presence had once felt natural. They would hear something amusing and instinctively think of telling you. They would experience a difficult moment and remember how your voice could calm their restless thoughts. Still, they held on to that private promise because admitting it had failed would mean facing the full truth. Then came the surprising discovery. The person who encouraged them to step away eventually saw how much the distance was affecting them and admitted, "Perhaps I was judging this connection through my own disappointment. Perhaps what you have is different." Your soulmate froze. They had been waiting for permission to trust their heart, only to learn that the advice which separated them from you had never been based on your actions. It was based on someone else's unresolved story. In that instant, the entire foundation of their silence began to collapse. What happened next became the turning point they had not expected. Your soulmate went back through the memories they had been trying to avoid and examined them without allowing outside voices to interpret what they meant. They remembered how you listened without making them feel small. They remembered the way you noticed subtle changes in their mood, even when they insisted everything was fine. They remembered that your honesty was never meant to pressure them, it was an invitation to stop pretending. Stay till the end, because one memory stood above all the others. There was a moment when you said something simple that remained buried in their heart: "You do not have to be perfect with me. You only have to be real." At the time, they did not understand why those words affected them so deeply. Now they do. Nearly everyone around them had admired the version of them that appeared confident and certain, but you recognized the quiet person underneath. You saw the hesitation, the tenderness, and the dreams they rarely expressed aloud. That frightened them because being understood created something they could not control. Don't skip now. Your soulmate recently admitted to themselves that they did not retreat from you because the connection lacked meaning, they retreated because it carried more meaning than they were prepared to accept. That realization led them back to the unsent message. They removed the careful phrases that concealed their emotions and replaced them with words that finally sounded honest. "I allowed another voice to become louder than my own. You deserved the truth, but I gave you silence. I cannot change that moment, but I can stop hiding from what it taught me." Then they added something even more surprising. They wrote that if you allow them to speak, they will not arrive with excuses or ask you to forget what happened. They will take responsibility for the confusion their distance created. They understand that affection alone is not enough, it must be joined by consistency, honesty, and the courage to show up. This is the change you could not see while everything appeared still. Behind the silence, your soulmate has been rebuilding the part of themselves that once ran whenever feelings became serious. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have now broken the private promise to stay away. They opened the conversation window with your name, read your last exchange again, and placed their fingers over the words they had been afraid to send. For several minutes they remained there, caught between an old fear and a new decision. Then something happened that made the choice feel unavoidable. At the exact moment your soulmate was deciding whether to reach out, they discovered something connected to you that they believed had been lost. It was a reminder from the beginning of your connection, a saved note, a photograph, or a small keepsake carrying words they had overlooked before. On it was a date, and beside that date was a sentence whose meaning only became clear now. The words reminded them that some connections do not demand perfection, they ask for honesty before time creates greater distance. Your soulmate read that sentence repeatedly. The timing felt almost impossible to dismiss, because it appeared on the same day they had finally admitted the truth about their feelings. Stay till the end. The greatest revelation is closer than it has ever been. They realized they had spent so long asking whether you would understand them that they never considered whether they had truly tried to understand you. They began imagining what their silence must have felt like from your side. The unanswered questions, the sudden change, and the possibility that you blamed yourself for something you did not cause. That thought changed their entire approach. They no longer want to return simply because they miss you. They want to speak because you deserve clarity. Don't skip. They are preparing to tell you that you were never the problem they needed to escape. You were the truth they needed time to become ready for. But they also know that readiness cannot be announced with beautiful words alone. It must be demonstrated through patient actions. That is why their next move may appear smaller than you expected, a simple message, a familiar phrase, or a gentle question that leaves the choice in your hands. Yet behind that small opening will be everything they have struggled to say. Something huge is waiting for you, because the unsent letter now has an ending, and that ending contains a decision. Your soulmate has promised themselves that if the door between you opens again, they will not let other people's fears determine what happens next. They will listen to you fully. They will explain what influenced them. They will allow the connection to unfold with truth instead of assumptions. But before they send anything, they are waiting to resolve one final mystery. Someone recently told them that you may already know more about their hidden feelings than they ever realized. Now they are trying to discover who revealed it, what exactly you were told, and whether a message meant for you reached your heart before they found the courage to deliver it themselves. The answer arrived through the one person your soulmate never expected to hear from. It was someone who had quietly observed both of you from the beginning. Someone who noticed the change in your voice whenever your soulmate's name appeared and the way your soulmate became unusually still whenever anyone mentioned you. This person had never interfered before, but after watching two people hide the same truth from opposite sides of the silence, they could no longer remain quiet. They told your soulmate, you believe you were the only one affected, but you never saw what your absence did to them. Don't skip. Your soulmate immediately asked what that meant, and the response left them speechless. They learned that after the distance began, you did not speak with bitterness. You protected the memories instead of turning them into accusations. Even when you were confused, you tried to understand what your soulmate might have been facing. You carried questions privately because you did not want to force an answer from someone who was not ready to give it. When your soulmate heard this, the story they had repeated to themselves suddenly fell apart. They had convinced themselves that you had forgotten, that you were unaffected, or that their return would mean nothing to you. But now they were hearing that your calmness had never meant indifference. It had been dignity. It had been your way of caring without losing yourself. Stay till the end, because the next detail shook them even more. The person revealed that there had been one particular day when you almost reached out. You had prepared the words, looked at them repeatedly, and then stopped, not because you did not care, but because you believed your soulmate had chosen silence and you wanted to respect that choice. Your soulmate realized that while they had been waiting for a sign from you, you had been waiting for honesty from them. Both of you stood near the same invisible door, each believing the other had already walked away. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate finally understands that the silence between you was never empty. It contained two people trying not to disturb a connection that neither had truly released. In the stillness of their room, your soulmate opened the unsent letter again, but this time they read it through your eyes. They noticed every place where they had explained their fear without acknowledging what that fear had cost you. They noticed how often the letter said, "I was confused," and how rarely it said, "You deserved clarity." So they rewrote it. Don't skip, because the new beginning was only 6 words long, yet it changed the meaning of everything. You did nothing to cause this. For the first time, they stopped hiding behind timing, pressure, and outside influence. They admitted that their greatest mistake was expecting you to understand a silence they never explained. They wrote that you should never have been left questioning your value. They wrote that their distance reflected their lack of readiness, not your lack of importance. Then came the once-in-a-lifetime confession they had never spoken even to themselves: I recognized something lasting with you before I knew how to protect it. Your soulmate paused after writing those words because they finally named the real reason this connection felt different. You were not simply someone they enjoyed speaking with. You represented a future they could imagine, and that possibility made every decision feel more serious. They could picture ordinary mornings, unplanned laughter, difficult conversations on